Today, on Bridging the Gap, we talk to Abai Schulze of ZAAF, an award-winning fashion brand based in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with a location at National Harbor, Maryland in the United States. Abai has been featured on CNN's Africa Voices and TEDx. Having come to the United States from Ethiopia at age 10, Abai has taken her education and experience and created economic opportunities in Ethiopia. Let's meet Abai Schulze of ZAAF. What's happening, everybody? I am here, back in the DMV. One of my favorite places to always come to, and if you check out my IG, you will see where I'm always posting something from ZAAF. And I'm here with the owner, you're the creator, you're the visionary behind this brand, Abai Schulze. And we met a couple of years ago, I guess right when you started opening, when you were opening, right?
Yep, I think the first month I opened was in November 2019.
It's been that long.
So it'll be almost 2 years.
But then you opened and COVID came.
Yep, 4 months later. So that was a bit scary.
So,
it was not expected.
But you're still here.
I'm still here with support of the community, really, because there weren't that many tourists coming through. So it's very much about people around the area. You know, we wanted to
continue to support the brand.
Support the brand for us to keep going, and so that was very important. I appreciate that support.
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to feature ZAAF is because everything is made in Africa. And as you know, I've been traveling back and forth to the continent for the past couple of years, and I'm either featuring businesses in Africa, somewhere in Africa, or businesses that represent Africa here in the States. Your products primarily come from where in Africa?
Yeah, so I actually started a business in Ethiopia about 7 years ago. So our other shop, the only other shop we have, is also in Addis in Ethiopia. And in fact, the workshop where we produce our leather goods and the shops in the same location. And so we have a lot of people that actually enjoy kind of meeting the artisans and then seeing the process of making these leather goods, as well as the handwoven textiles, the way the weaving system works. I think once they see that, there's more appreciation for the end product when they go to the shop.
If someone goes to Addis, they can actually go to your shop.
Yes.
And see how everything is made.
Yeah.
Because everything is quite impressive. I mean, I'm looking at the different designs, I'm looking around, and you'll have an opportunity to see. Just some of the different items that you offer, but it's like, what was the inspiration? I mean, how do you go from a shop in Addis to here at National Harbor?
Yeah, so I mean, initially, the way I started the business, the concept was purely just an export business. And then there was some challenges. You go to these trade shows, they want large quantity in a very short period of time, and a very minimum like margin as well. So my business model was not set up for that, contract agreement.
So that had the volume.
The volume. So I didn't have the volume, and the margin's just not there, because then I'll just be out of business very quickly if I were to carry on. Like Macy's will ask, they want whatever, 50,000 wallets within 3 weeks or something, and you just kind of like, even if I had the whole Ethiopian,
right, you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. Yeah. And also because rules and regulations are so strict, if you're off by like a week delay or something, which happens in Africa, right?
Right.
Electricity or whatever, and so then you're doomed. So I had to kind of rethink how it's gonna work for my business, and so I opened a shop there.
So your first shop was in
Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a year after I started that.
Does it look like this?
It looks very different than this in a way, just because it's in
the style, the culture, the vibe.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, it's homey.
More traditional. This is a little bit more contemporary U.S. I got it.
Exactly. Yes, probably has a little more organic feel.
I got it. When I go back to Addis, I'm going to your shop.
You should. Yeah.
Let them know I'm coming.
Yeah, except our products in Ethiopia is only made in Ethiopia. The shop here, what makes it the major difference is that this is made in Africa. So
other countries.
So we have we've got partners in Niger and Senegal, in Rwanda, so that's why it says Made in Africa. I think some Ethiopians, they get offended when they come and it says Made in Africa because they're not aware that we've expanded our partnership. So they know the brand in Ethiopia.
They know the brand in Ethiopia, and then they come and they're like, then you see Senegal and Niger.
Yeah, why is it Made in Africa?
So it should be, and they're thinking it should be made in Ethiopia. But you're expanding, and because of that, you're able to share the cultures, the different cultures, with the quote unquote Western world. Because a lot of times, well, it depends on what part of the Western world you're in. People are familiar, but then again, a lot of people aren't familiar. Now, I don't want to say the biggest challenge, but a few challenges along that you want to share.
Challenges. The challenges have different phases, right? Like every phase has its own challenge. And so I think at the beginning for me, is probably going through the whole bureaucracy of like licensing, all that stuff in Ethiopia, right? Sometimes you just don't know how long something takes. And you have, an idea of like, oh, I'm gonna finish this in 2 weeks, but then it ends up taking 9 months, and then just like delays everything, just kind of like, okay. So you have to pivot constantly, and you have to be creative in ways. So very much about constantly changing, being creative, solving problems, versus making an excuse for why you didn't do it, and then stopping. So you have to kind of like, okay, that means this doesn't work. I need to do this.
So constant adjustments.
That absolutely.
Because someone will look at your shop and they say, "Oh, I want to open a shop." Because even when I came in, I don't know anything about making a purse or a bag. But it's so impressive that I was like, I would like something like this. But without realizing everything that goes into creating each piece. Now, do you create each piece? Do you sit down and...
So the bags, I design them and then my team make them. And then for like jewelry, I co-design it with local artisans, right? So I like to utilize their own aesthetics because the goal is to actually celebrate that culture.
Right.
And then adjust it to our ZAAF design, and that also appetite for the international market because you have to understand your market as well.
So you're able to tweak it.
Yes.
You want to keep it as authentic
as possible, but still marketable. Yeah.
So you'll go in and offer creative consultation, or you'll actually sit down and...
No, I would I will know what they can make, and then I design my own thing, and then they'll say, "Oh, we can't do this. We don't have this." Tools, there'll be limitation.
Right, they'll let you know what they can do.
Yeah, and then I'll work with their limitation as, something that is still going to be unique piece for someone that comes into the shop. And so basically I think the idea is that whatever you see here in terms of the jewelry, you're not going to find it anywhere else because authentically, it's our own design with the aesthetics of if it's from Niger, if it's from Kenya, and so forth.
Now I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
All right, go.
You did a TED Talk. You said go. All right. You did a TED Talk and you talked about what motivated you because your background is in economics.
Correct.
This is deeper than, I guess, the design of the bags. From watching your TED Talk, I guess you recognize that leather is a major export from Ethiopia, and that inspired you as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So, basically, I was born in Ethiopia, right? And then I was adopted by American families. So throughout my teenage and college years, I would go back to Ethiopia to do internship or volunteer work. So that allowed me to reconnect culturally with the country and then also see the potential that the country had, right? So while I was working in different organizations. One in particular was another shoe factory, and I was supposed to build content for their website, right? And
So you weren't even thinking about...
I was not thinking about bags, but my goal was always somehow to go back to Ethiopia and then create business that will create jobs. I guess you kind of reflect on how did I end up where I am? Okay, why was I why did I grow up in the orphanage? It has a lot to do with poverty and then with cause poverty, a lack of jobs and education.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I think those are really the two things. And some people they can finish college and then they'll be jobs after. And so which one comes first is a debate, but at least for me at this point, it's we have to create jobs regardless of how well someone's educated. It doesn't matter if they finish at 5th grade or college or their PhD or whatever, but the goal is you have to create a platform definitely great economic development.
And so that's what this economic foundation, because you actually went to school here.
Yes, I went to George Washington.
And then you
studied economics.
So why didn't you just? Well, I mean, you kind of answered the question, but But sometimes people come and they just stay here, but you went back.
Yes, I went back. I mean, I did grow up in a family of entrepreneurs, as well as family who are about giving back, and so.
And shout out to your family, because I mean, because it's almost like it all came together because your experience there, and then because they had the family philosophy and then the family structure to support that. I mean, that's
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think it was natural for me to think that way as well, right? They can do it, like, why not? And then also it's like I've had the privilege of good education, loving home, and the only way you could do is somehow to give back the best way you know how, and which for me is, the arts, and then what I studied, and I combine them together, and that's kind of what ZAAF really comes down to.
And that's the context of the story. See, people don't know the backstories. They'll come in, oh, this is wonderful, but there's a story behind it. And you talked about being in the orphanage. How long were you in the orphanage?
From the age about 3, 4 till 11, 10 and a half. So about 7 years.
So about 7 years, and then that's when you came to the U.S.
Yes.
And from there, I guess that's where the journey, you didn't know at that time. You just knew you were just kind of going with the flow of life. And then now, you're able to employ people.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, why I was volunteering, doing internship, all my summer breaks in high school, when people were going to camps and stuff like that, is because eventually I knew I wanted to go back to Ethiopia. And so I can't just suddenly just show up, because one, I would have lost the language, I would have lost the culture.
Right.
And so I needed to kind of invest that time of reconnecting. And so I think that was kind of, I didn't know what exactly I was going to do. I was very much looking into the textile industry, but has a little bit of a higher working capital startup.
Gotcha. Do you think you would get into it again, or go?
I mean, now I'm kind of getting a little bit into, the sportwear from Rwanda, so that kind of a little bit of that, and then we did linen collection from Senegal. So I'm now eventually getting into it, but initially I wanted to stick with one size fits all, because it's manageable and you can start small, learn a lot.
And you can scale it probably easier.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Let's talk about this video shoot that you did out in, was it Danica? Is that?
Danica, Afar.
Yes.
So different parts of Afar. So so that was a massive photo shoot.
Yes, I'm looking at the pictures.
By a very talented photographer.
The pictures are amazing. I mean, they won't, I'll show them. I'll put them out. But I'm pointing at that shot right there because I know what that shot means. I haven't been.
Okay.
But that's next, when I go to Ethiopia again, that's next on my list.
Oh yeah, you gotta go.
I know.
Well, so it was a 5-day photo shoot. So you had to kind of convince 11 people, a team of 11, it will be safe, the heat will be tolerable, when it's 130 degrees.
I was going to say, barely tolerable.
Yeah, very tolerable. Yeah.
And it's a very remote location, just to kind of put this into perspective for everyone. And it's the accommodations. There was no hotel.
So we're sleeping on the ground.
You're camping pretty much, and they have to be ready for. That's what makes it so amazing, because you would never know they went through all of that from looking.
I know. They're like great sport. They were amazing, honestly. Like if I didn't have it could have been a disaster, to be honest with you, because things goes wrong, right? So you have to have very good attitude of going forward, pushing forward. So I was just lucky to have an amazing team who loved the idea of that. They had the same, they wanted to the vision that I had.
What gave you the inspiration for that particular photo shoot?
So I've never done a proper photo shoot in Africa. So I've been doing, one in Chicago, in Paris, south of France, did one in Abidjan. But not in Ethiopia.
Got it.
Yes, that's what collection. And so eventually the goal was to do it, but I needed to have a good location. But then my friend, the photographer, is a good friend of mine from way back, before I started the business. And, you know, we had a conversation. He promised me once I'm like in the gym, right?
Once you get your stuff together.
You know, so I have a little bit together, I'm not all over the place. You know, he promised me that, you know, he would do a shoot if it's, you know, like a professional team around it. And so I think that was the year I'm like, I think I'm ready. And then I suggested the location for him. He's super adventurous. He's been shooting in Ethiopia all over, but never in Afar. So he was like, I'm on it. And so then we did, you know, a bunch of research of images and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's kind of, and then slowly we built up the team, the models, the stylists, and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it came about.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and we won Fashion Photography of the Year.
Really?
In New York, yeah. And,
from that shoot?
From the shoot, yeah. And Balenciaga got second place in the same category.
Well, what's next?
What's next? Bigger, better.
Now that COVID seems to be releasing some of its grip, what do you think? Do you look to expand? Do you look to scale? Can people find you online? Do you ship?
Yeah. So we do have a certain items, limited collection of our products online. But I think our goal is, you know, a year or two. We're searching for another location to open. That's the long-term goal, is to kind of open different parts of the states.
Well, you say in different states.
Yeah, and then eventually, actually, I'm considering even in Africa as well. But you know, we don't know. I need to study the numbers.
Market research.
Yeah. So yeah, but so far I'm learning a lot.
I'm sure South Africa.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure South Africa would. I'm sure Prague would. I'm just going through a bunch of different places that I know Lagos would love it. You know, so there are all these different places that would love what you do. So, but people can find a limited collection online.
Online, yes.
Do you offer men's items, women's items?
We offer men and women. So we have like weekenders, wallets, poker holders, belts, and our slippers are amazing. They're out of sheepskin. And we have sportwear. Obviously not everything is available online, but at our shop. For women, of course, we have handbags, clutches, wallets, sandals from Kenya.
So Kenya is in the mix too, okay.
Yeah, Kenya, we definitely have a lot of our jewelry and our sandals and espadrilles are from Kenya. And then we have our sportwear from Rwanda and jewelry from Niger, pillowcases from Niger.
So you have a nice mix, I mean, just of different cultures across the board, because...
Yeah, the goal is to expand, because right now, you know, just working with like about 6 countries.
So if somebody wants to find you online to get more information about what you're doing here, where can they find you?
You can find me on the online ZAAFcollection.com, ZAAF with 2 A's.
2 A's.
And we are also on social media, Instagram at ZAAF Collection, again with 2 A's. And Twitter, and we have a few videos on YouTube in terms of behind the scenes, photo shoots and workshop and so forth. So,
have you ever thought about doing speaking for? That's what look you just. The look you gave me, that was a priceless look. Because your story, again, has so many aspects to it that could inspire so many people. Have you ever considered speaking in any capacity as far as... I thought I was going to throw a couple, curveball or two in there. And I would say the next generation is looking at you and they're seeing your success. Have you ever considered that?
I mean, I've engaged in certain speaking engagements, as they say. Like high schools, colleges, and schools and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, that's not my forte. That's not my thing.
I know that was unfair. I just threw it. I knew that was an unfair question.
I would do it maybe 3 times a year maximum. Yeah, but it's still, even that was like with lots of, you know,
preparation
and pressure. And then I was like, okay, fine. I need to do something that's super challenging every year. So that was one.
So that was one.
For that year.
And see, I put this out here now because in 5 or 10 years, when she's on the speaker circuit and we look back at this, and you're going around. I didn't think that I was going to be doing it. It might not happen, but if it does, I have the proof now. Because I think you do a great job, and I think that was one of the things that I saw you on the news.
Okay.
That's what brought me in.
Oh,
and
wow.
you were able to sell the vision, and I'm not easily moved.
That was 2 minutes. That was manageable.
But that tells you, if you can do it in 2 minutes, and I'm not one that you can move to, I said, we have to go by there and we have to go see what she's doing, and that was within 2 minutes. So that's something, I just want to encourage you with that, because when people learn more about, and I didn't even know the whole story, I just knew, I said, she's doing something, this is different. And a lot of people want to do it, but you're doing, that's the thing. And so that stuck out to me. So please, everyone, you're watching, make sure that you check out ZAAFcollection.com, correct?
Correct.
And on all social platforms, IG, you're on Twitter as well?
Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
And make sure if you're in the Washington metropolitan area that you stop by and you see Abai, because she's here, and I'm sure she would love to be able to meet you and show you, because you'll see different shots of what's here. But come meet her, encourage her, and actually purchase items. That's the deal. That's how we bridge the gap. So what we're doing is showing the importance of the economic resources contributing to what's happening in Ethiopia. Because and so we do that with different countries on the continent. But I will tell you, if you've never been to Ethiopia, you should go to Ethiopia, because it is a very special place. It feels like it has not been tainted. When I say that, meaning when I'm flying in and I see the green mountains and I just look, and it just has a feel to it. And so that's what I encourage everybody to do. And then when you go to Ethiopia and you go to Addis, make sure you stop by the ZAAF shop in Addis. So that's how we bridge the gap. So Abai, I want to thank you again, because I actually stole a few moments here. Yeah, I'm telling you, from you.
No.
I stole a few moments here. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I really do. And again, everybody, make sure that you subscribe, like, share. Please share this interview. And on top of that, make sure you stop by and support ZAAF. See you next time.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari, and from there we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we're going to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on our children's level, so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora, as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the Adventures of Darren and Destiny.